Hey, what's up, y'all? Let's get into some stuff. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I said I'm back again. So let's get down to it. Like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. It's your boy Paul. I do a lot of things over here. I do a little one, two messiness, and we got a couple of things that's been going on. I said I took an off day yesterday. But I said I'm back. Let's get down to it. So we got Kim Kardashian. So Kim Kardashian ended up congratulating her son, her 6-year-old son, on his birthday. He's a big fan of Deadpool and Wolverine, and he ended up doing Deadpool's signature move from the third Deadpool movie. And I was like, ugh. I said, why are you letting him watch Deadpool? Was my big issue about this. I said because you make a big thing about Kanye and how Kanye acts. I said, but you out here letting your child watch Deadpool. Deadpool, not Deadpool 1, 2, or 3. It's not for kids. And I said, your child should never be watching Deadpool. But I said, she had it playing in the background and the little, congratulations to the son because he did a little more. He was getting it. I said, it ain't even about the child. He was doing the move, he was doing it, he was getting it. I have no problem with the baby. It's with the mother. So I said, yeah. But Kim don't do Kim. But I said, yeah, you very on Kanye and how he manage them kids and does certain things that make him look a certain way. But I said, you let your child watch Deadpool. Out of all the Marvel characters, Deadpool is not for children. Not at all. But you the adult. You the parent. But I said, let's move on. Tell me how y'all feel about it in the comments. Let's move on to next up we got Apple. So Apple actually settled the lawsuit that Siri, because Siri was eavesdropping on people. Yeah, their privacy. They didn't keep an agreement, so they settled with a $95 million settlement where you got to July 2nd of this year to actually file your claim to get the money, to get how much money. I don't know. It didn't say how much of that 95 million that you'll be getting from Apple for the Siri privacy that Siri was listening to you. Yeah, you're gonna have to figure that out. And hopefully y'all get a good chunk of that money. But who knows with Apple? Apple may give you maybe a few dollars to hold you over. You maybe can buy something off for a game that you playing. Something. So let's move on to Michigan. So we got a Michigan dad that actually this no good dad didn't end up doing a robbery where he actually made his 11-year-old daughter join in. He forced her to go in with him. He actually robbed. He ended up robbing the house that they robbed. He ended up robbing his house where him and the daughter got into the property where it was getting remodeled. And the son of the owner of the place showed up. And when the dad and the daughter got caught off guard, the dad ran and ran into the owner of the house, son's car, and stole his car and left his daughter behind, 11-year-old baby. So now he done got multiple charges. The son of the house owner was so devastated that the father would actually put his child through that because he a father of 8. I said, dang, 8 kids. That's a lot to deal with, but you gonna keep dealing with it. But I said, whoa, 8. So he's charged with convincing his daughter to join in on it, also burglary, stealing a car, and it's like, wow, good for you, sir. So let's move on to New York. So we got New York. So New York has actually lowered the prisons has lowered the hiring rate for prison guards to 18 because check this out. There was a strike that went on where they fired over 2,000 guards. So now they didn't lower the price lowered the age requirement to be a guard to 18. I said, you shouldn't have fired the ones that was on strike. Why couldn't you just give them what they wanted and you wouldn't have to do that? Because now you hiring an 18-year-old ain't even, that's worse. You think they already manipulating these grown folks into doing what they want them to do. Then you get an 18-year-old to be a guard at a prison, and them prisoners gonna have that prison looking the way they want to. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. Let's move on from that. Let's move on to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump ended up firing the first black female librarian, which is so sad and devastating that he would do. And it's not shocking, but he fired her abruptly out of nowhere and told her, "You are dismissed. You're fired. You out of here. You had to go." And I said, he made an executive order. I said, that's sad. And ain't nothing been done about it or anything. And it's just what it is. So let's move on past that. Let's move on to Halle Bailey. So Halle Bailey ended up, because I want to say what event? Something came up where she was on a trip with her sister. They went out, vacationing, and she was showing off the body. She a little thicker. She a little thicker. She didn't have a baby. That baby weight, it doesn't come off as easily sometimes. And so she said she ended up getting on her social media and addressing it because it ended up, the comments really got to her. And I said that's the saddest thing about it, that it really started to hurt her, and she gave encouragement to other women who actually dealing with their weight and they're going through things where you have kids and that baby weight don't come off. It may take a little bit longer. She's then came comfortable with her body to the extent until the comments actually got into it and started making her feel like self-conscious. And I don't like that. It's like she's a beautiful woman. You gained you little thick. You thick where you supposed to be, girl. You thick in the hips. You thick where you supposed to be. It's gonna come off. It will. Just keep your self confidence about you. You're a beautiful woman, and don't allow these comments and these haters to ever bring you down, Halle Bailey. But that's all I got for you, girl, on there. Let's move on past my girl. Let's move on to Diddy. So this Diddy case actually the opening statement was yesterday. And I said, baby, from the two witnesses that just got up, so the prosecutor then called up two witnesses. They did, two witnesses. First witnesses was a LAPD officer that worked at the hotel where the assault that happened between Diddy and Cassidy. So the police officer that was called to the scene, he ended up going to he was called and he said there was a woman in distress. So he went up there, he went to see what it was, and he said when he got to the scene, he seen Diddy and Cassidy arguing. And he told them, y'all need to get back to y'all rooms. And he said Cassidy said, I want my phone, I want my bag, I'm ready to leave. And Diddy told her no. This is what the police officer is explaining on the stand. And during this, he said that Diddy actually handed him a stack of money as a bribe. And the police officer said that he did not take the bribe. He said, I don't need your money. I just need y'all to go back to your rooms. And so at that point, he said that Diddy actually accused the police officer of recording. So the police officer said, I had to pin him up against the wall because you're accusing me of something that I'm not doing. And so that went on. Then the prosecutor ended up showing that the video, the famous video from 2016, Diddy and Cassidy. The police started identifying the two parties and stuff or what went down. Apparently, that police officer that was working at that hotel actually recorded two copies of the incident, the assault that went on for him and his wife to watch at home. I said, wait a minute. I'm questioning, like, why would you even show your wife that? That to me makes me think about what type of person you truly are at the core. Cause why would your wife even want to see that? And why would you even be recording anything like that? But he went along, they went through that process and everything. Then we move on to the next witnesses. The prosecutor ended up calling up a male stripper that was doing some things with Cassidy and Diddy, and it get a little bit out there where the stripper ended up saying he did. He said he enjoyed doing the stuff with them to the point until he said he synced Diddy physically hit her. And I said, wow. I said, you didn't step it like it didn't say if he stepped in or not or whatever. I said, and then he stopped. He said after that he stopped doing it after she was after she got hit. Also, it was just weird. For me, I said on top of that, we end up finding out that she got a number one done on her by the male stripper too. Apparently, the male stripper said that she initiated it. I said, what? I said, but I said, but it was, I said, this is what on the blog it was showing people was saying it was the women in the comments that was saying this about when that came out that the stripper said that he had to do the number one on her when she asked for it. And they said, oh, she wasn't innocent and all that. But y'all don't understand. She was groomed. When you're being physically, mentally, and everything else on the sun, she was groomed to do what she had to do. These are the steps you got to do for this person. And she did that. Hey, in the chat, how you doing? Dylan. Hey, how you doing? So you got to do the things that you got to do. And she wasn't a willing participant. I know I'm not saying the word right, but she was just doing what she had to do to survive during this relationship. And hopefully, this is just day one. My other thing about this Diddy thing was his family showed up. You had majority of the older kids was there. My thing was his twin daughters. I did not like them being there because I didn't understand why they were there. I said they shouldn't have been there at all. I said there's no reason for them two girls to be there through any of this. There's nothing for them to hear or see. I understand they believe that their father is innocent. That's fine and dandy. But to try to make it look like, oh, his family behind him, no. They can be, the oldest ones can be there. Them two don't need to be anywhere in there. They already heard enough that they didn't need to hear. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. That's all that I got for y'all today. Like, share, subscribe. It's your boy Paul. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll get back at y'all later. Bye, y'all.